Hey Nesters, welcome back to Nesting Haven. Today we are going to Goodwill to do some thrift shopping. Let's go ahead and start out in an area I'm not too familiar with. I spied this very large pedestaled fairy lamp here. It was clear glass. I was a little hesitant if I should pick it up just because of the clear glass. Doesn't seem to sell very well in other things. But I really liked it. I could see how it could potentially look really nice and go with a lot of different decor. I actually had ended up texting my friend Alex over at Chapter 2 Vintage Co. to see if I should pick it up and if, it was worth the price I was getting, if I'd make a little bit off of it. She thought it would do okay, so I went ahead and got that. I love when I find things in their box because I can usually tell their origin. Have you guys noticed a lot of the things are marked made in PRC lately? I've been seeing that come up instead of the typical made in China, so I thought that was kind of interesting. So this obviously stood out to me. I thought this was so cute. Only $1 for this little candle lantern, I guess you would call it. See, I'm not a candle person, so it was made in China, but it was very adorable. It had the cute little snowman on there and the awesome saying on the front, so definitely a fun find. I'm always drawn to color, so I had to check these out. Pretty fun, just your basic little candle holder, pretty modern, though they had a nice vintage look to them, really. Now, I know there is some money to be made in candles, especially with Yankee candles. I spied this one here, the Spice Pumpkin. They were asking $6 for it, so I decided to pass on it. I'm not really sure if I would have been able to make, enough of a profit to bother with it. I'm sure I probably would have sold it maybe $10, $12, but I don't know. Do you think I should have picked that up at $6? I was trying to figure out the maker on this. I did see the origin was made in the USA, so that was good. But I really don't know enough about candles to really mess around with them too much. I use essential oils myself, so not really my thing. I will always be drawn to florals, so I wanted to check this out. It was by Metal Glow, I guess is the brand, and it actually said made in the USA, so that was pretty cool. Still had the original sticker on the back here as well, so very neat. Only $3 they're asking for that. So on top of the box it says Mickey and Minnie no noses, so of course I had to check it out, and sure enough they didn't lie. They were missing their little noses there. I love how honest the donator was though. That was awesome. I found myself lingering in this candle section for some reason today. I saw this made in Scotland, which intrigued me, and then these candles I thought were phenomenal. Now they're unscented, which if I'm doing candles, that is what I'm gravitating towards. I don't like scented candles. I don't like artificial scents. These were made especially for Lillian Vernon. I was familiar with her, and I love how the width to these candles were. They just look like beautiful candles. Now they did ask $8 per box, but there was a lot of candles in them and they look like a solid quality. I think I'm going to resell one and maybe keep one set. So, just for if the power goes out or anything like that, I like that they're unscented and they're very beautiful. Now, I've been doing so good with just walking by their mugs, but I mean, come on. The coveted rainbow 1980s mug was staring right at me in the face. For some reason, they couldn't fit purple on there. They almost had the full Roy G. Biv. But, I mean, it looks like there was plenty of room. I think they could have added a mutant sliver slice down there and been okay. But for $1, I was definitely going to snag that. This was pretty, but it was made in China, very modern, had some weight to it, so I decided nothing I wanted to ship there. I'm just noticing this plate on the bottom. It was a beautiful floral plate in kind of a 1960s design in color. I don't think I checked that out. They did have these beautiful plates there as well. You see that? How did I not see that? Oh, I'm so bummed. I find myself being drawn to more white and neutral looking decor lately, and I'm surprising myself there. I did kind of recognize this. I looked older, and I was right. It was an archipole, or however you pronounce that, France restaurant ware piece. It was a nice platter. It was just kind of plain. I was hoping there was at least a little bit of a design to it. And this was a beautiful candle holder. It's a salt glaze Williamsburg pottery piece. They were asking $10 for it, so you always have to kind of keep the price in mind when you're reselling, of course. Even though it's a beautiful piece, looks fantastic with a lot of primitive items and that kind of rustic farmhouse look. I just, $10 is definitely something to think on. So I spied this cute little jam jar up here, and they're asking 10 for it. I'm not familiar with who the maker is or what that is, if it's a specific character with a name. If you happen to know, I would be interested to learn. I just didn't know enough about it to get it. I almost did, but at $10, I was like, I don't know. Would someone want that? I got really excited when I saw this. I got fooled. They looked very 1970s to me. I was thinking they were probably wooden. Then when I touched them, I could tell they were like that newer kind of ceramic made in China. So I was pretty bummed out about that. I thought I found something amazing there. This is actually the first time I've ever found a metal fluted pie pan. I thought that was pretty neat to finally see. The smaller ones, they come in little mini sizes, and a lot of people like to use those in assemblages where they make little scenes for Christmas in particular. I see a lot of cool ones with. Nice vintage sifter here. I love looking at finding the old kitchen gadgets. Now, plastic wares are not really my thing, but the color definitely drew me, and I was thinking this was probably Tupperware, but it ended up being Rubbermaid. Had a pretty big stain on the side of it, which may have came out. I wouldn't have used it personally, and I feel like the Tupperware probably sells better than the Rubbermaid like that. I'm not really even sure if that's vintage, but at least with the Tupperware, people have a lot of memories of their childhood using that, having their Kool-Aid and whatnot, so I will pick those up if I find them in good shape. Now, I looked in the holiday section. This was only Halloween. At first, I didn't realize it was Halloween. I was like, what are these even supposed to be? So I guess they're costumes. She has a witch's broom. I don't know what he's supposed to be. Maybe like a Francis Fryer or something. But yeah, they're kind of cute, but they didn't really scream Halloween to me. This golden yellow is one of my colors I choose to decorate with in my home, so of course it screamed out at me. It had a nice look to it. It kind of looked vintage. I could tell it probably wasn't, but I still wanted to check it out, and I was pretty sure I wasn't going to leave without it. It was $4. It was made in China, but I still thought it was a great tray, and I did end up picking that up. Spoiler alert. You'll see that in the upcoming thrift haul, but yeah, isn't that fantastic? Checking out the linens, looking for the fringe. I always try to just scan real quick, look for fringe, and then I can tell, usually that's the vintage pieces. They almost always have the fringe on them. And this was a beautiful brown color. It's kind of like an orangey brown. Perfect for fall, perfect for my home decor in general. My home decor is pretty much fall year round anyways. But I thought that was pretty neat and good shape. It's amazing how the quality, even though they're so much older, they seem to last so much better, so I prefer them. This was really cute. I don't know if it was a tablecloth or just a piece of fabric, but adorable. Adoggable. I so wish this was bigger. It's basically just a lap blanket. Maybe it was made as a baby blanket, but it's, pretty large for a baby blanket, really, so I think it was just intended for a lap blanket. Love the colors to it. The three colors there on the end kind of remind me of those 1970s, what are they called? Those socks, tube socks. You know how they have those stripe colors on the top? So I thought that was really fun. So when I'm at yard sales, I don't mind the digging, but at the thrift store, I don't tend to sift through these types of items too often, but I kind of spied this needlework piece there. Now, it was really coming out of the frame, but I adored the colors to it, and even the brown frame. It needs to be fixed up, reattached somehow, but yeah, I thought that was a pretty cool find. I like the size to it. I always have little nooks and crannies where I have my gallery wall that I need to fill in, so I enjoy finding the smaller pieces. Do you know how much it hurts my soul to have to leave such a beautiful picture behind of a blue-billed goose? It's so incredibly large. It takes up a lot of real estate on the wall. I couldn't put it in my home, and I'm not going to ship out anything that large, but I hope someone has some nostalgia. A lot of us 90s kids really enjoy the blue-billed geese, and I know a lot of people are like, oh no, not that, but I enjoy them. I think they're great, and I do try to save them. You guys know that, so yeah, that was a bummer. I couldn't pick that up. I wish it was just a little bit smaller. I tend to not pick up the pictures anyway. So this beautiful painting obviously went right in my cart. There was a few trees on it. Every time I see trees in a painting, I always wonder if they just put them there because they made a mistake. Like Bob Ross always said, put the little tree on it. There's no mistakes, just put a tree on it, and there's pretty little trees. So yeah, that was pretty gorgeous. So This is a question for the ladies mostly. Have you guys ever found something at the thrift store, you really wanted it, and you had to go ahead and like call or text your husband and try to figure out if we could figure out a way to get it into the house? This is that piece for me. I had to text my husband to see if he would be able to install this because it was absolutely gorgeous. I was thinking we might be able to put it in the kitchen, but we kind of have a weird light, and I didn't know how to affix it to it, and he couldn't really figure it out either. So I walked away like a sad panda on a Monday. I was devastated that I couldn't get it. The beautiful fruit, it went with my decor perfectly, and it was just absolutely gorgeous. Mirrors can be pretty versatile. You don't necessarily always have to use them as a mirror just to hang on the wall. You can also use them as a tray, and if you put like candles on it, the candle light will illuminate on the mirror. So sometimes those will be really cool like table centerpieces as well. So I'm not sure why I was really drawn to this next piece. Maybe it's because I have toddlers and we're about to start homeschooling again here in a couple weeks. But, you know, it was a nice primitive piece and, you know, obviously a modern primitive piece, but I thought it was really neat. I feel like primitives are starting to make a comeback. I've been seeing them more and more as people are getting into a more traditional, like working farmhouse. You'll see more of these primitives coming back. So I think people are trying to get back to simpler times these days. Lots of cool mirrors, very heavy, very large, and very complicated for me to put into the cart, so I didn't stick around with those too long. This was a great deal. It was $3 for this Peppa Pig kitchen. I got it for my boys at $3. It has a cute little fridge on it. Fantastic. The great thing about thrifting toys is they'll play with it for however long they want, maybe like a month, and then you can go ahead and toss it up on your local marketplace and just resell it and get your money back, no problem. So they get to have fun, and then someone else can have fun with it after. This drawer came out flying at me like it was buttered up. It was crazy. I was trying to check out some furniture. That was an interesting piece. It had a nice little side table there, and it looks like maybe, what would they call it, like a telephone stand or something that they would have had back when people actually had regular phones in their house. Nice, beautiful frame. I was checking out these taller filing cabinets because we actually, about 4 years ago, made a maple evaporator out of one of these. We welded it together and put our tray in it and got a pipe sticking out of the back of it. That's what we make our maple syrup in. So I wanted to check those out and maybe potentially get a second one. I really love this basket broken up into 6 compartments. I plan to use this for my children to put their art supplies in. It did have one corner that was a bit busted up, but I think I'll just reinforce it with some tape on the inside and it should be good to go. I mean, children are pretty destructive with things, so I think it should last them, you know, this school year, and we'll get by just fine with that. It should work well. I saw this bag of embroidery thread. I thought that was a great deal. It made me want to make friendship bracelets, and I was thinking that might be a fun activity to do with at least my oldest son. He is, you know, he just turned 6, so I think that would be fun for him to learn how to do. So I stared at this clock probably a good 5 minutes, and I could not figure out what it was supposed to be shaped as. That was the most confusing thing. Someone obviously made it themselves with some kind of a woodwork form that they were going with, but I mean, what even is that? So I used to find some really great stuff in this section, so I always like to check. I believe this was a napkin holder. Had a kind of a cool look to it with that star on it. And then I spied down here the same exact mirror style that I just saw on the other side. This one was missing its mirror. I thought initially they turned it into like some kind of a like bulletin board thing where you could put pins in, but yeah, that was just missing the mirror. I found this phenomenal folding chair in my colors. How fantastic is that? It was a nice padding on it. I've never seen a folding chair so beautiful. I obviously picked this up. I don't know if I'll share it in the haul because it's kind of large and awkward to hold up, but yeah, that was great. I don't even know why I'm looking at the plastic section because I don't even use plastic things, but I was wondering if these were vintage strainers. They kind of, you know, the colors drew me in, the beautiful orange, and then there was also a yellow one. I'll show you in a second. I was trying to see if there's any kind of indication of maker on it because that one I was hesitant if it was older. This one definitely looked older. just, had a different feel to it. But ultimately, I decided, you know what, they're plastic and you don't use plastic, so just leave it alone. I love those two colors together, though. And I struggled when I saw this vintage Maine Black Bear coffee traveling mug because it was plastic, but it was in such great shape. And I mean, it's a Maine Black Bear mug. So make sure you're subscribed to see if I decided to pick this up and everything else that I picked up today in this Goodwill thrifting trip. I will share with you in tomorrow's Goodwill thrift haul. So we'll see you then. Thank you so much for watching. I super appreciate it. And we'll see you in the next one. Bye.